This is Optimal Living Daily, episode 1653, Uncertainty Can Be Our Best Friend, by Allison Carmen of AllisonCarmen.com. And I'm Justin Malik, your very own personal narrator today and every day. It's not a typical podcast. There are no interviews, and it's short, almost always fewer than 10 minutes. So with that, let's get right to it and start optimizing your life. Uncertainty Can Be Our Best Friend, by Allison Carmen of AllisonCarmen.com. When sharing his secret to happiness, the great philosopher Jiddu Krishnamurti said, quote, "Do you want to know what my secret is? I don't mind what happens," end quote. I think many of us hearing this quote can understand why this state of mind leads to freedom and happiness. If we don't mind what will happen next in our lives, we would have no reason to be stressed and worried today. Although this sounds like a ticket to emotional freedom, most of us cannot help but care what happens next in our lives. We care about keeping our jobs, having enough money, our children being healthy, and a slew of other crucial aspects of our lives. We want to make sure that the things we want to happen actually do happen, and that is exactly where our need for certainty begins. We want to know what will happen next so that we can rest in this moment, knowing everything will be okay. As this pandemic is teaching us every day, we can't control everything, and life is filled with twists and turns. Many of us are starting to see how our need to know is creating emotional havoc. But the truth is that our avoidance of uncertainty has always controlled much of our lives. In fact, our need to know is often the foundation or priority for most choices that we make. Our search for certainty affects how we face life, approach work, maintain relationships, and even how we parent. At work, we may lean towards a particular job with a quote-unquote certain future or pay grade, or we may analyze a problem with a limited view of all possibilities. We choose relationships that feel secure and engage in activities we know and with which we are comfortable. We make choices for our children that seem like the most prudent paths to success. Sometimes these decisions work out great, but often we are ignoring new opportunities, stifling creativity and true desires for the sake of certainty. And as we are being reminded right now in a very jarring way, nothing is certain. And even choices that seem prudent at the time can change when the unexpected wind blows our way. However, if we can find the courage to face the unknown, we can mind our futures more gently. We can examine new ideas, start new businesses, go places we never expected to go at some point, or develop a relationship with someone that is different from us. Mindfully releasing our need for certainty also creates more tolerance and patience as we give up our view or our path as the only way. This in turn can open us up to the blossoming of a life filled with wonder and maybe even happiness. It is amazing that the very thing we avoid can be the catalyst for creating the life that we really want. So how can we start to release our need for certainty, especially during these times? For me and most of my clients, we practice the mindset of maybe. You can use the mindset of maybe to put a stop to negative projections about the pandemic, loss of opportunities or money, and come back to the moment and feel hopeful. It is such a simple practice with such a profound result. Here's what you can do. Write your biggest fears down, like the world is going down the tubes, the pandemic will not end for years, and we will all be in financial ruin. Then ask yourself, are you absolutely certain these statements are true? This is the great thing about projections into the future. You can't know if something will absolutely happen, and this is when uncertainty works to our advantage. This is when we realize that uncertainty is our best friend, because if we want our lives to change, it has to happen in the unknown. Now, since we are not absolutely certain that our scary and negative thoughts are true, we can ask ourselves, what are the other possibilities? Then take 5 to 10 minutes and write maybe statements on a piece of paper. These are statements such as, maybe things will be okay. Maybe things will be awful and then get better. Maybe our actions can make a difference. Or maybe there is still hope for something we cannot even imagine. Then we can get very specific with action steps that seem like good ideas. Examples of these are, maybe there will be new job opportunities and new business sectors that arise from the pandemic, and I should start thinking about new skills. Maybe I should start reconnecting with old friends and colleagues and let them know I'm looking for work. Or maybe I'll figure out my situation over time, and right now I should focus on the day in front of me. If you do this for 5 to 10 minutes a day, you'll start to feel more hopeful and present. The future contains infinite possibilities, both good and bad. Sure, bad things can happen, but good things can happen too. The positive part of uncertainty is the part many of us forget. It's okay if after doing the exercise you still have fears, because you will also be making some room in your mind for other outcomes. The truth is that we cannot see how this entire pandemic or our lives will play out in this moment. If we stop projecting only bad things that may happen, we will have more strength and vision to act. And even if some bad things do happen, the idea of maybe will give us strength to figure out what we need to do next. There is nothing Pollyanna about finding comfort in the unknown. Instead, doing so allows us to harness our strength and be completely honest in the moment. So stop looking for certainty and safety when there is none. Take a deep breath. Realize life has maybe. Just give it a try, it really works. And take action when the time is right. If something doesn't go the way you plan, embrace maybe and keep trying. You cannot know what the journey ahead of you will bring, and that's a good thing right now. It's all about the maybe. You just listened to the post titled, Uncertainty Can Be Our Best Friend by Allison Carmen of AllisonCarmen.com. Thank you to Allison. You can check out her podcast, 10 Minutes to Less Suffering. It's a great one. She's always sharing this podcast with her audience, so giving back to her and checking out her work would be greatly appreciated. Personally, I do like a good amount of uncertainty. Keeps things interesting. But in either case, hopefully this one was helpful for you. That should do it for today. Thank you for listening and sticking around until the end. Have a great weekend if you're listening in real time. And I'll see you tomorrow as usual, where your optimal life awaits.